So in my story, if I'm sitting there, right, and the blood's pouring out of my nose, and I'm taking the blame for starting this fight in the cafeteria, even though the tater tots were originally thrown at me, but I'm not in a position to stand up to Gunner, so I just have to take the blame, right? And so this is, in a nutshell, really what a lot of Germans felt like, that it wasn't just their fault that the war started, but they have to take the blame according to the war guilt clause that we have down here. And so um, yeah, resentment towards people that are French and these other nations that have imposed the restrictions of the Treaty of Versailles on them. So England, France, um, even the U.S. is signing on to this, obviously, but more of a European look at it. So how do they react? Like this woman up here, okay? They're horrified. They're basically told you need to sign this or we'll resume fighting because the armistice just ended fighting temporarily so peace could be worked out. And the American idea, President Wilson's idea, the League of Nations, doesn't even end up coming to fruition because the U.S. Senate didn't want to join that organization. And so, really, a very harsh peace agreement from a German perspective that will cause resentment and hate. And we want to get revenge at some point down the road, which will be big as we talk about, again, the rise of Hitler when we look into the Second World War. Now, the last thing I want you to just take a peek at, one of the things that also happens, and Wilson talked about it too, was redrawing some of these borders to try to do it more by ethnicity. And so you'll see this big important player, Austria-Hungary, right, no longer exists after World War I ends. Okay, so we get Czechoslovakia, Austria, the country of Hungary, Poland's created, Lithuania, Latvia, Russia loses territory, the USSR now. Uh, they actually got out of the war in 1917 and signed an agreement with Germany to get out. They gave up some territory. Well, when Germany gains this territory of Russia, they don't get to keep it at the end of World War I because they lost. So it turns into these other nations. You can see Romania gained some territory, and that section of Bosnia and stuff that was part of the Austria-Hungary Empire is combined with areas in Serbia, um, Montenegro, Albania, or not Albania, excuse me, but becomes Yugoslavia. Okay, and so the map looks extremely different between beginning of World War I, end of World War I. But important thing to realize,